You gotta stay ready so you ain't gotta get ready, as the great Conor McGregor once said. And in today's Dynasty video, we're giving you our best stash, breakout, sell high, buy low, and more on a whim's notice.
Oh boy.
Like that, because we are reliant on the wheel of Dynasty. That's right, it's gonna spin, and we have to give you an answer unprompted straight away. So, Badaki, you ready to do this thing?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's go straight into it. You're going first, and I'm going to spin the wheel here and see what you're going to be landing on. I'm going to go straight into that.
Yeah, all right, cool. Great way to start.
Yeah.
My favorite stash right now, we did just release a stash video, so I had to find another one that I loved as well. Noah Fant.
Okay.
Tight end for the Seahawks. I think we are throwing him to the wayside, and he needs to be rostered in every single league. Why? New regime decided we want to bring him back on a 2-year deal. New regime decided to let go all of his competition. Colby Parkinson is a Ram. Will Disley is a Charger. He's going to be on the field a lot more because those two guys took a ton of snaps away from him. Disley was just such a great run blocker. Noah Fant wasn't even over 60% of the snaps last year. Same new regime that we've been talking about wants to throw the ball a lot more. He's a young, athletic tight end at the age of 26 who costs nothing. In 2 of our leagues, we're in a lot of leagues, but in 2 of them, he was on the waiver wire, and I was able to pick him up last night before this video was recorded. So pick up or trade for whatever you can do. Get Noah Fant on your team.
Yeah, I mean, remember coming out of college, he was what was he, a first round, second round pick coming out of the NFL draft. He just really struggled with injuries, struggled to stay healthy at times, and didn't have the best quarterback play throughout his career with the Denver Broncos in the beginning there. So I don't mind the stash there.
All right, your turn here. The wheel of Dynasty is spinning, and I need you to give me your breakout.
Oh, come on.
Of 2024.
Let's go. Breakout 2024. Somebody that I've loved and been talking about so much on the Dynasty channel here, and that's Dalton Kincaid. He outperformed 11 out of 13 tight ends in the last 7 years. Okay, 10 out of those 15 tight ends has improved going from year 1 to year 2. So even though he finished as a top 11 tight end, my expectation is that he's going to finish even higher. And we see all these opportunities being left with Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis and those targets. A lot of people are concerned about Dawson Knox. Before the injury for Dawson Knox, 12.5 snap per share, target share. When Dawson Knox was off the field, 19.8%. And then when Knox was back on the field, 17.7%. So that means he was still getting his workload even when Dawson Knox is on the field. So he's my first breakout player, or my breakout player this year.
All right. I definitely like Dalton Kincaid, and Dawson Knox does not concern me.
Absolutely.
So I hear where you're coming from for sure.
All right. Let's spin the wheel for you here and see where you land. Maybe it's a breakout. Maybe it's okay. It is a breakout.
My breakout of the 2024 season is George Pickens. George Pickens had sneaky progression from year 1 to year 2. The target share goes up drastically. His points per game in fantasy go up. He put up over 1,100 yards in an offense that featured Kenny Pickett, Mason Rudolph, Mitch Trubisky. On a per target basis, he was elite. Number 1 in yards per reception, over 18 yards per reception. He was 5th best in yards per target, and he had 38% of his team's touchdowns. Now, the other guy who he was sharing that spotlight with, Deontay Johnson, who had 24% of the target share, is gone. I'm projecting Pickens to have at least 25% of the target share in 2024. So I think it's going to be a huge year for George Pickens. And some people have said he's already broken out. I'm sorry, a fringe top 36 guy broke out. No, this is a guy that I'm saying you're starting every week with confidence.
I saw that in the comments. I was like, come on. Did he actually break out?
Maybe could have started him at times last year.
Exactly. No, thank you, man.
All right, your turn here. The wheel of Dynasty is asking you to give us a buy low.
A buy
30
low.
seconds or less.
Okay.
A buy low.
I like this buy low, and I think a lot of the community is not going to like this take. And that's Christian Watson. Injuries have been a concern. I think that's what is drawing people away. But what I am drawn to is the production. And to the Wicks owners out there, I get it. He's probably the better route runner. He did a lot with a little. But let me show you that the 3 games that he was on the field 100% healthy, not playing with injuries, you can see weeks 11 to 13, 10 fantasy points, 20 fantasy points, over 27 fantasy points in week 13. That's the type of production that Christian Watson can have. And lastly, the value check. Everyone's saying, well, Dontavion Wicks is significantly cheaper. At the moment, he's only an 18 spot difference from Watson and Wicks. That's a round and a half. And that's currently right now as we are recording this video. I will not be surprised if we get closer into the season that gap closes, or maybe Wicks takes over Watson with how much the community is loving Dontavion Wicks specifically, So keep that in mind when you're thinking about Christian Watson, and why not go out and get a guy that's paired up with Jordan Love as well?
Sure. Yeah, no, I mean, I like Christian Watson, but I am team Dontavion Wicks.
Yes.
Just because I do think he is cheaper. I mean, 18 spots is important to me, but
I agree.
There's a scenario here where both of those guys are good buy lows, so definitely don't want to rule that out.
Yeah, I completely agree. All right, let's spin the wheel for you here and see where you land second or third time technically. Sell high. Okay, mixing it up a little bit.
I'm certainly not going to bring a Colts player because that's not working in the community right now. I'm called a hater. But let's talk about Tajae Spears. This is simple. I don't understand the gap between him and Tony Pollard. I don't get it. Tajae's the RB19, hovering around there. Tony Pollard's the RB34. If I'm playing Dynasty in a 2 to 3 year window, do I think those guys are giving me a vast difference in points per game?
Sure.
I don't think that's the case. And you can make a case that Pollard is probably more than likely getting more of the rushing attempts. Tajae only saw 23% of the rushing attempts as a rookie. Pollard has 20 pounds on him. He was PFF's highest graded rusher from the second half of the season onwards last year, and neither are really even moving a needle for me. So if I can sell them, if I can package a second round pick and turn it into a late first, or if I can package something to tier up to a different player or even tier down to a rookie like a Lloyd or something, I'm willing to do that. I don't think they're needle movers in Dynasty. So ultimately, I'm kind of just out. And Tajae's the one that's overpriced.
Yeah, and that makes sense with Tajae Spears. And we just don't know what that looks like. And the fact that you can potentially get that price for him right now is pretty significant here. But
all right, I'm gonna spin the wheel for you.
I want to sell high. I want you guys to know my sell high.
No, we need a to be honest. We need you to be honest with the community. Who's a player that you love, but you got to be honest about.
I'm shitting myself about this player, guys, because I want to be right, but I can understand that he can absolutely bust at any moment. Paused. That's Will Levis.
I'm about to bust.
Oh, boy.
Okay, Will Levis.
Will Levis. Yes, look, shout out to Zach for making this, this database for the quarterback models and hit rates. That is what is really scaring me. Okay, if you look at round 2 quarterbacks, 12.5% of quarterbacks that go in the second round do hit, meaning they finish as a top 15 or 12 quarterback in the quarterback position. Will Levis was a second round pick going to the Tennessee Titans. And what is exciting is the improvements of the offensive line. Are the weapons around him with, Calvin Ridley, Tony Pollard, Tajae Spears, like we just spoke about, and the DeAndre Hopkins being there, Brian Callahan coming from the Bengals, and how he has produced a high-powered offense there with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. All those things are exciting, but at the same time, the chances of him being successful is clearly only 12.5% according to the model, which is not in my favor.
Yeah, look, I just think he needs to improve in a lot of areas. There's a lot of pressure on him now because the team around him is ready. They brought in L'Jarius Sneed. They brought in Calvin Ridley. They brought in Tony Pollard. Like everything that they've done, they drafted great offensive linemen. So it's all up to him to improve his pocket awareness, his ability to feather balls, be more accurate in different scenarios. Let's see what happens with him.
All right, spin the wheel for Zach again. See what he lands on. And
Buy low.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this guy. Deontay Johnson. Deontay Johnson is being way undervalued by the Dynasty community. This is exactly what the Carolina Panthers have been begging for. We have all been saying this for a year straight. Bryce Young needs a consistent separator. That's just what they got. A consistent separator that they can target at a high rate. Last year, Adam Thielen finished top 17 in fantasy. I view Deontay Johnson as an upgraded version of that, someone that Bryce can build with long term. Deontay, in his 5-year career, is averaging 8.3 targets per game. In all of those games, his 5-year career, over 8 targets per game. No one likes the Panthers offense, and I get it, but that is what makes Deontay Johnson so cheap. He's wide receiver 45 plus prices. Go buy Deontay Johnson. He could be the answer for Bryce Young. We know advanced metrics tell us Bryce Young was accurate. His wide receivers just weren't getting open.
Yeah, exactly. And for him, Deontay Johnson be a great separator, top 12 according to the ESPN analytics. there that is phenomenal for Bryce Young to get an addition like a Deontay Johnson. So I completely agree. I'm on the train now. Like I said, I've switched over to the dark side with Deontay Johnson. And hey, they welcome me with open arms.
Let's do this together. Let's do this together.
Come on.
And spinning the wheel for Badaki.
Come on.
We need you to give us...
yeah, we can do
best stash.
Best stash. There we go. I thought it was going to be my breakout. Now, best stash here at the running back position, Rico Dowdle. If you're in a win now team in Dynasty or anything, I think this is the perfect stash. We saw the inefficiencies of Ezekiel Elliott this past year. And I think a lot of people are talking about Ezekiel Elliott being the guy. Look how Zeke has been inefficient all of the 2023 season. There is some more opportunity, more hope for Rico, especially with how the coaches have been speaking about him, saying that this is going to be a running back by committee. Rico in the air, could that bring you some good opportunity? And stashing him at the moment is completely nothing in the community. Maybe that's a trade that could be he could be added to a trade, or maybe he's on the waiver wires for you.
Yeah, I think Rico just get in that backfield somehow. To be honest, I don't think either of these guys start for this team next year. But if you can stash Rico and potentially sell him in season, then I'm definitely down to do that.
No question, no question. All right, spinning the wheel for you.
All righty.
All right. Your last trade here.
Let's look at my last trade. This was in a league, 12-man super flex. I am the defending champion in this league.
Okay.
I had a ton of picks in 2024. Wanted to upgrade my starters. Got Sam Laporta, A.J. Brown, sent away Ferguson, the 106 and the 107. Mm-hmm. This is a start 9 league. So to me, I kind of just wanted more quality in that starting lineup. A little bit more pack a punch, if you will, for this hopefully back-to-back season. But you can see the starting lineup now. Obviously, Sam Laporta is an upgrade. A.J. Brown's an upgrade to that lineup. I feel great. I've got Bryce Young on the bench. I got Geno Smith on the bench. I got Aaron Jones and James Conner and Zamir White. So I feel like I'm running it back with this team, and those two guys just gave me that little oomph, to go out there for another championship.
Yeah, that little oomph here. Hopefully, with my additions to the team, I can knock you out coming into this year. We'll gotta wait and see. Sam Laporta and A.J. Brown's a bit tough to compete with.
Second round, second place is up for grabs. So go crazy. But let's spin the wheel for Badaki here. All right, we need you to give us a sell high, Badaki.
That's perfect, guys. Chris Olave is a perfect sell high at the moment, specifically on Keep Trade Cut. Wide receiver 11 on Flock Fantasy website, wide receiver 15, but it's probably because of me of how low I am. But let's be honest, Derek Carr is not the same quarterback. Okay, yes, he has produced Devontae Adams, Amari Cooper, excuse me. I'm scared that we're holding false hope. The old Carr, the new coaching staff, I don't see it. It's very similar to the Russell Wilson in the last couple of years. But let's look at Chris Olave in the first 2 years on a points per game basis. It's good, but at the same time, underwhelming in the span of things. 2022, 13.2. You say, okay, that's his rookie year. Finished as wide receiver 25 on a fantasy points per game. This past year, 14.5. Wide receiver 19 on a points per game basis. His value, which a lot of people have been arguing, well, you should get Chris Olave because his value is going to rise because he's going to get more chemistry with Derek Carr. It's hard for me to envision him rising because of who's ahead of him. Look at all the players that are currently ahead of him. There's no way, in my mind, if you can see the screenshot, that he can be ahead of the first 10, 11 guys, the 10 guys in front of him. I don't see that rising. I see more of him falling down, and I see players in the second half of his after him rising. The Brandon Ayuk's, the Jalen Waddles, the Roma Doomsday, the DK Metcalfs, the Zay Flowers, the Jackson Smith and Jigbas, the George Pickens. Those guys can rise over Chris Olave, and if I can get him at the sell him for the wide receiver 11 price right now, I'm willing to do that. It's not about the player, guys. It's the situation. I love Chris Olave. I don't love the situation, so I'm selling high on him right now.
We are on opposite sides of this one, for a while. Mm-hmm. I do think we have to talk about the offensive coordinator change. I think that's way under discussed. Clint Kubiak's coming in from San Francisco.
Sure.
And yeah, Derek Carr is not a superstar quarterback, but I think there were fundamental flaws in the offense. If you're watching Saints games last year, it was like, let's dump it off to Alvin Kamara 10 times a game. No, be a little more creative in your offense. Get the ball into Olave's hands a little bit easier. I think that's what's going to happen, and I do think he can actually improve his value. So, but I hear we're on different pages there, but to each their own. And let's see.
All right, last spin for Zach here. Okay, to be honest, tell us somebody.
To be honest, a player that I absolutely love, but I am scared about. That's Jackson Smith-Njigba. I'm expecting a breakout from JSN, but I'm secretly, I am nervous about his situation. It's two things, really. Tyler Lockett. Will JSN finally replace him in 2 wide receiver sets?
Mm-hmm.
Is the age cliff actually going to come for Tyler Lockett this year, or will he continue to be really good? And secondly, Geno Smith. Can Geno Smith recover the form that he had in 2022?
Yeah, I mean, top
with
5.
New, offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb.
Yeah.
Because if Geno Smith is going to be the version of what we saw last year, this isn't going to work out for JSN or Lockett, and maybe Metcalf is the only safe play. So I love JSN. I think he's so talented. I can think of so many situations where he would have gone in that draft where we are probably valuing him as a top 15 name right now. But it's just Tyler Lockett, man. He scares me.
I get it. It's tough to envision what's going to be happening coming into this offense. And that's why I've been a little bit off of Jackson Smith-Njigba. Love the talent. Him getting that contract extension, specifically Tyler Lockett, meaning that this team wants to keep him. This coaching staff wants to keep him. I'm not sure that he's just going to be like falling into the wind.
All right. Well, that is it for today, guys. We appreciate y'all big time. Hopefully you enjoyed watching. It was a different idea.
Yeah.
Let us know what you think in the comments below. And we'll see you guys very soon. All up. Now that those idiots are done talking, who needs some rankings?
Hell yeah, I need some rankings.
Then use promo code LAND, LAND, for 30% off any membership at flockfantasy.com.
Oh.